I greet you with Jesus' joy, for it is in him that I live, breathe, move, and I have my very being. I am so happy that you joined Unboxed on Purpose today, and we are a podcast created for Favored by the Father Ministries. I am your host, Barbara Arlene Fields Brehon. Our featured guests share how they stepped out of their comfort zones. They stepped outside of dark boxes and dark places in their lives to become unboxed. We share experiences that lead to the fulfillment of purpose. We're not trying to tell anybody what we think they ought to do or be. And I pray that each episode helps our audience to access their authentic destiny. And so today we have sharing with us Richard Mabe. He goes by Rick and he lives in Reedville, Virginia. Hey, Rick.
Good afternoon.
So glad that you joined us today.
Great to be here.
Rick is going to talk about hope today. That's right, H.O.P.E. Honest, open, pure, essence. Conceive it, believe it, love it, receive it. Essence achieved. He'll tell you more about all those words as he does his conversation with us on today. I am so pleased to tell you that he was born in Richmond, Virginia. He tells the year, I guess I'll go ahead and say it was in 1957. He's a father of 6. He says he's grandpappy to 11. I'm stuttering over these words because I'm reading his words. These are not my words. No notes from the fans today. Rick is an author, speaker, and chairman of the 501c3 nonprofit, the H.O.P.E. Institute. Chairman of the H.O.P.E. Institute, which is a 501c3. Hey, Rick, it's just nice to have you here with us today. Just greet the audience in your own way.
Hello, everybody, and I want to say hope to you all in honesty, pure love, and essence. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I'm trying to get this ticker off the bottom of that thing and don't want to tap the wrong buttons and cut us all off. I want you to tell the audience how we met, because I like to go into stories background to let the viewers know and the listeners how we connect with folks, because I reach out in all kinds of ways to get people on this show. How do we connect today?
Well, what's interesting is that, and God always connects the people to the right people they need to be connected to. And we are both members of the Unblinded Academy. And I believe we've seen each other on meetings there before. But primarily the way I met you, Barbara, was through Cheyenne Creamer.
Yes.
She's my partner in business, and we'll be talking a little bit about her as we go into this discussion. So here I am.
Here we are. And I like to share that because I live in this rural community called Tappahannock, which you are familiar with because you are right across the river in Reedville, and so close, but yet so far. And it helps the audience to know that regardless of where we are, we're all in God's kingdom together, building the way he says with our unique purposes for the destiny that he has already designed. And so here we go. I'd like to start out by just asking you to reflect on your own life and how you kind of became who you are right now. And a lot of times we do that by looking at passions in your life when you were a child, when you were a younger, much younger person in terms of maybe childhood or teen years. Where did you live, and kind of what were some of the things that made you excited or your passions?
Well, one of the greatest memories that I have was standing in front of my mom and my aunt, being a music composer and listening to classical music and doing the composer movements and things and getting into the ebb and flow of the music and the grand feeling that one gets from that kind of interaction. So I knew at an early age that I wanted to be some kind of performer or some kind of creative atmosphere. However, my life took a turn, and I had to learn a lot of very critical and crucial lessons before I could get to the point there where I'm supposed to be fulfilling my mission.
I'm coming back on because I think you're trying to just answer what I'm asking you, but we can do open mic. And
Okay.
if you feel it in you to say more than whatever it is, then we don't have to be stuck with questions and answers. We can just have a free flowing open mic conversation. So if there's more that you want to say about that, go for it.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
This is God handling this thing, not me.
That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
not in charge of anything.
No, because I was feeling the urge to continue with my description through God, and I'm feeling His power right now. So,
You go. I'm
I,
gonna go backstage. Lord, Holy Spirit, please move.
okay, thank you very much. So yeah, so I was a very creative young man, and I was taking piano lessons. I took guitar lessons. I was doing all those kind of things, and then um, my mom and dad got divorced, and we were homeless for a while, and trying to work with that, and trying to be those kind of people that we were, and almost just trying to stay with people that we knew or people that we didn't know, and being able to find a home to live in. Mom got on her feet. She started doing pretty well. And then when I was 14, my dad took his own life with suicide. And that destroyed me as a young man. So there was no longer a childhood. There was no longer the thought that I would have a man figure in my life to guide me. And so I went down this particular path that taught me some very, very critical lessons that God needed to deliver upon me before I could do the things that I do today. And so I was a pretty nasty young man, if for lack of a better word. I hurt a lot of people. I was not, I could not be consoled about the loss of my dad, even though we'd never been really, really close. I had always held this belief that we would one day get together and be able to have our father-son relationship. And when he took his own life, of course, I couldn't do that. So I immediately went into drugs, um, carousing around, kind of gang type of activity, trying to fit in, having problems with my sexual identity and my manhood identity in my 14, 15-year time frame. Um, and then some pretty crucial things happened before the age of 21, where my family was going to disown me, if you will, if I didn't do something quickly to rectify the situation. So I went in the United States Navy. Thank goodness I did it. Thank God that I was able to do that, because for those of you who have been through boot camp, you know what that does to a young person who is got very little discipline in their lives, got very little direction in their lives. The military will like to snap you out of that, either snap you out of it or break you and you'll get out. Luckily for me, I was able to stay in, and I did a good 6 years there, honorable discharge and that kind of thing. So I will end that part of my story right now by just saying that everything that we experience in our lives is a directed part of your creation, that you are unique in your creation to do something special in your lifetime. And so, Barbara, I'll let that be for now, and we can carry on with our discussion.
We're going to carry on with the discussion with that unique word, because you are indeed unique, being individually made by the Lord our Creator anyway. And so, how would you describe yourself now, your unique identity, as it particularly pertains to a most joyful moment in your life? We've heard some things that get into that music background, but in who it is that you are now, your unique identity, as it evolves around your most joyful moment in life.
Well, my most joyful moments in life were watching each of my children be born. Those were the highlights of my life, was watching my wife give birth, and the young human that was a result of that. Those are my most joyful times. And raising them and being able to see them now is absolutely priceless. I will go back to this though and say that as I was raising them with my wife, I was also doing some inner searching. I was doing some trying to figure out who it was that I was supposed to be. So mom, who was my greatest mentor of all time, began teaching me about the child within. And that's that little voice that's inside you that you know about at a very early age. And I think it's interesting, Barbara, that you brought up how was I feeling at the age of 9 years old, which is normally where young people figure that they know what they want to be. And because of our culture and because of the way that we have been raised, we sometimes program our children to lose sight of what their unique identity is, their child within. And that happened to me. But in 1988, my mom started coaching me about how to find the child within and begin speaking to that child within to understand what it is that you're here to do. And in 1998, I was on a mission with my, not a mission, but on a respite with my mom, who had just recovered from open heart surgery. We went to a mountain top resort kind of thing. We were staying in a cabin. And of course, now you got to understand it. From 1988 to 1998, when I was learning about the child within, a lot of things was happening with me. I began learning how to tap into my subconscious mind and to be able to relieve some of the poisons that had been in my spirit for so long. So I got up one morning, did my meditation, did my prayers. I was seeing some visions of things that were being given to me. One of which was that from this point of my eye, I was seeing out into what I call heaven, and saw some pretty profound things. But then I went for a hike, and I was on a mountain trail, and I was coming around a switchback on the mountain, and all of a sudden I felt heat, and it froze me, and I just kind of looked up, and I felt the love of God entering me with so much power that I went down on my knees, and all I could do was just sit there and be engulfed in this loving energy that was brought by God to me. And that day, I know a lot of people may think that this is kind of crazy, but when I was hiking back, I was not really hiking back up the mountain to my mom. I was floating. I felt like I was floating, and this could be whatever, but I was seeing above the treetops. I could see down below, and I made it back to the Raven's Nest where we were at, walked into the cabin, and I just took a breath. And I was just still for a minute. I looked in the mirror, and I looked kind of strange. And I had a white streak of hair now that was there, wasn't there before. I promise. So mom comes in to my cabin suite. She looks at me. She said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Mom, it's me." And she said, "Oh my God, you're my son's son." And so we both cried. We both, from that point on, I had this knowledge that God was real, that God was in my life, that God had something for me to do, and that all I had to do was embrace it and move forward. I did not do that. I stopped because I had a wife, I had kids, I had school for the kids. I was going to school, I had a career, I had all these things I was doing, and I felt, like I was doing well. And this is where a lot of people seem to miss the mark with their essence, I call it, their unique identity. Rather than pursue what God had given me, I put it away because it was so powerful. I know that if I had just let it go, I don't know what would have happened, but I know now I should have let that happen. However, I did not, and kept on the path I was on with my career and things. Never really felt fulfilled, never held a job more than 5 years, 6 years. And so that was that. And I kept doing that. And so then in 2009, I met Mark Hamilton and Kevin Trudeau, who I don't know if you know who they are or not, but they are both very in tune, very connected individuals who have uh, what we have, the ability to leverage what God is teaching us into a profound statement or presence on our planet. So I started learning all about that. Then I met Don and Cheyenne Creamer in 2010, and we hit it off right away. And then in 2013, I wrote my first book, Hope Your Essence Navigation System. And that's a guide about how to live an honest, open, pure love life to find your essence and live it. And that's all I'm going to say at the moment. I will stop and let Barbara come back in.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot in there because I jumped off with this idea of your most joyful moment, and you talked about a joyful encounter with our holy God on a mountain of all things.
Yes.
And so that is profound, and I can relate to that. That resonates deeply with me in so many ways. But since this show is not about me, I'm not going to say much about my personal interaction with that. But the whole essence being a unique identity. Just give us your who Rick is identity right now. We've gotten some stuff unpacked, but right now, who are you?
My goodness. And we all start discovering how deep we really are and how
Uh-huh.
old our souls are when we do this stuff. And I recently did a Myers-Briggs
Ah,
assessment. Like within the last 2 months, I was at a Rotary Club meeting, and I've been defined as a sage.
okay.
And I was surprised by how I did not know what a sage was until I really dug into it. And it's a person of wisdom and knowledge, which I feel comfortable in that skin. I'm committed to coaching people, right, particularly young adults, to become honest, open, pure love, essence living people. Um, so I feel like that all the things that God has been allowing me to experience are all valuable pieces of the fabric that make up the super puzzle that is Rick Mabe. And I'm so happy that my kids have grown to be the beautiful, successful, caring human beings that they've become. And my particular focus now is on assisting people to get back to these universal laws that God gave us,
Uh-huh.
to be honest, to be open, to be full of pure love, and to live the identity and the creation that we were meant to be. Now, part of that I'm working on with Shay and Don and others is that I believe that there needs to be a new vision of community
We're
that
going to
we have.
hold right there. We're going to hold right there. We're going to get to that. We're going to
Okay.
hold right there.
All right.
You keep saying it, and I don't want the audience to miss it. The title of the show is HOPE as an acronym, H.O.P.E, with a period behind each letter.
Yes.
And you keep saying it over and over again. Would you just stop right here? Because this is part of your puzzle pieces being dumped outside of a box. There's HOPE, H-O-P-E. Tell us a little bit more about what the acronym is, and then specifically get into a crucial time, because I think it's tied together, when you stepped outside of a box of confinement because of HOPE.
Okay. Wow. And just so everyone knows, pretty much every day that I step out of my bed now is a moment of hope, because in 2013, when I was laying in bed asleep, I received a word from God called hope. And in quick succession after that, I received 4 more words: honesty, omnipotence, pure love, and essence. These are all universal laws that we were created within the image of our Creator God to be. And when I say that, I mean it from a heart brain connection point. There is a very strong command center, if you will, where your soul lives within your heart, between your heart and your brain. called what I call the honesty navigation system. That's where your conscience comes in, where you feel like I can't do this in good conscience and that kind of thing. All right, so honesty is the first one, and it is a law that cannot be manipulated. It cannot be maligned. It cannot be lied about. Honesty is a way of life versus truth, because truth is in the eye of the beholder in terms of how they portray themselves in their facts. And what I mean by that is when you go in front of a court and you raise your right hand, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. A couple of things can happen there, right? And we all, I don't know how many of you have been in court. I've been in court before, right? From when I was younger. But if you manipulate the facts, then your truth can be a completely different truth than what the other side with their facts may be portraying. Someone's being dishonest in there. We know that. But it's up to the jury and the judge to figure that out. For us as human beings, we are our own judge with God's help in what it is we do, because we are connected to God's omnipotence and omnipresence to be able to do the things that he has given us to do, the power that he has granted us to be creators here on earth. So when I say about omnipotence, that's what I'm talking about. Openness, omnipotence, this belief in a higher power who has created you in their image, as the Bible says. They say it several ways, and he says it several ways in the Bible, to be able to do the things that he designed you to do. Now, what comes along with that is the responsibility and account. And a lot of people get this mixed up. When God gave us free will, it wasn't just to give us the opportunity to sin, as we did when Eve bit the fruit and did the thing. It's more along the lines of being able to accept our free will as a gift from God that comes with an enormous responsibility and accountability to be able to know that what you're doing is the best thing to be doing in your conscience and as God has put it to you. We've lost sight of that in a lot of our culture now. We've lost sight of this responsibility and accountability. Every time I see a deer on the side of the road where somebody hit it with a car, it's like, okay, was that something that could have been avoided because maybe I shouldn't have been driving late at night because I knew there would be deer? Those kind of things cross your mind when you become a H.O.P.E human being. I also was told about pure love, and if you're a Christian, you know what pure love is about. Jesus was all about pure love, and he taught that was the most beneficial and most powerful cure for human ills is pure love. And so loving people without any expectation of reciprocity or return, just a pureness of heart and love toward your human friends and all our human relatives, because we're all related in one way or another. We are all related as one species of animal called human. And God did choose to separate us into 12 tribes, which resulted in a lot of different colors and a lot of different cultures and things. But it is our job as humans to love each other with pureness in our heart. And then with those three laws, if you practice those the way that we're supposed to be practicing them, then you will find and live your essence, which is your unique identity. The essence of your humanness in the eyes of God as he created you is the ultimate goal, the ultimate accomplishment. When you think about people like Albert Einstein, Michael Jackson, Bill Gates, Da Vinci, all of these people, Elon Musk, all of these people found their essence early in life, stuck with theirs, or rediscovered it and knew beyond a shadow of doubt what it is they were supposed to be doing. And every time that they performed or every time they did what they were supposed to be doing, they felt God's love within them, as I'm feeling right now speaking to you. I am so full of love right now. It's almost hard for me to speak because I'm saying to you, I'm telling you what I have been given to help teach others. That's who I am right now. That is what my essence is and what my passion is. And it has resulted in so many positive things. It's just amazing. So now I'm a healer, and that's what I'm doing with people. I'll stop at that for a moment. Take a breath.
I was just, like, wow, you're a healer. And I remember reading this book when I was in seminary by Henry Nouwen called The Wounded Healer. And it just pricked my spirit so much because I understood that there is purpose for pain, and we do more and more effective. That's two different things. We do more and we do more effective ministry when we know the feelings and we've gone through some things ourselves. And we do understand our own essence. And when you travel back to your childhood, your teen years, the tragedies, the experiences, God didn't make any mistakes at all. When you look at all of this hope, this honesty, openness, purity, and the sheer essence, what advice would you give to the younger you?
It's a real easy one. Always listen to the child within, because God placed that child within you to give you a coach at the very earliest of ages, before you've been programmed or subconsciously hammered or whatever you have been in your life. There is a child within that you should always listen to. And that is God speaking to you through your child within. And I believe that if we can stay focused on that, if we do not allow people, like others have allowed it to not be programmed out of them, they have gone after it, and they have become the greatest humans you can imagine. So that would be my advice: is try and do everything you can to connect with and remember, ask God for guidance in identifying your child within, and listen to that child, because that is your key to success in this life.
So as we consider your child within, and I think about the work that you do currently, would you make a connection for the audience, whether they're listening or viewing, as to how your passion, your child within come together to bring fruition to all this work that you do in the community and for God?
You cannot do anything without guidance from Jesus and God. That's the first thing. So I want to make that perfectly clear, that we are here because we've been placed here to do what we have to do. And the way that it has all come together for me, and it's still coming together, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. The search is continuous. The search is ongoing. However, when you can take all the things that are going on around you, the political things going on in our government, the things that are going on in our education system, the things that are going on with our identity as human beings, all of that stuff is lessons that we're all learning, that they're going to bring it all together for you. And what brought it together for me was that night in bed when God gave me hope. And every time that I stop that focus, and I've done it a lot because of the age in which I began to evolve into the sage that I am now, I was already broken, if you will. I was already in a position where having that information was good to have in my heart, but I couldn't actually, I did not allow myself to express it the way I should. So, there's a lot of people written a lot of books about this, but there are no coincidences in this world. Everything is part of a design. Everything is part of a plan. And when you identify with that, then you are doing the right stuff to pull it all together, and you will prosper. I am prospering now because I have begun to live what I've been taught. And that is key, is living what you were taught and teaching others how to do the exercises, how to do the things, how to read the Bible, and read other things. And I don't want to get off topic from the question you asked, but um, don't ever stop researching. One of my mentors, Mark, um, taught me question everything. And I don't know if there's ever been a statement more profound that has been brought to me than other than that. Because here's the thing, you've got all these people and others that say, this is my truth. This is what I know. This is my thing. But is it really? Have they really done the research that's necessary to come to a conclusion about what it is you're supposed to be doing and what you're supposed to be believing? Because until you can do that, until you can do the research yourself, sorry, forgive me, got a little choked up there.
It's all right.
Yeah, because God's in me right now. I know I'm saying the right thing because I'm feeling so much love right now. Until you accept that you are here to learn and do the research, there's so much more to free will than people want to give it credit for. Yes, you got the free will to choose your sex and all this kind of stuff, but do you really? And I'm not going to get into that discussion in depth, but do you really? I mean, do your research, do your research, do your research, and ask God for guidance. And it will come together for you, and you will not be able to do anything but or hurt yourself if you don't. And that's I've been hurt myself. I have hurt myself so many times denying my purpose that it's been a struggle. So I hope I didn't get off too far on you, but
I
yeah,
don't think
that's
you got off. I think that you're on the cusp of helping people to understand these passions as it specifically relates to the work that I know that you and your team do.
mhm.
Make that connection for us. There's work that you do. Tell us about the work.
Oh,
And we'll
okay.
hear tell us about the work.
Yes, yeah, let's get the philosophy and put it into action, right?
They want to know some more details about the work
Okay.
because the title is Hope. We understand about the hope. You've broken that down,
Mm.
but there's this work that you do that's a 501c3. You're connected with some people and get into that and then tell, as a part of that, how folks can reach out to you and be a part to help out.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that opportunity. When I met Shay and Don Kramer, I was in the process of researching, doing my book and that kind of thing. And we quickly realized that we needed to merge our systems together. The We Care Partnerships Network is a club, it's a membership organization that brings businesses together to form coalitions to address society's issues. Thereby, businesses can be more influential, more impactful, and actually increase their profit margins and things by reaching out and helping communities to address their socioeconomic, environmental issues they're facing. The Hope Institute came to be because when I wrote my book and I started coaching some people, I couldn't make any money because the people that needed my coaching had financial challenges. Let's say that they had challenges, whatever that might be, whether it's financial or not. They needed help. So I started the Hope Institute with the idea that we would first help people to understand hope and get back to being like that, and then to build communities of like-minded people who can help others to come to the community and learn what we know and go out and become their own sages or whatever it is that they want to do. So our work now involves primarily doing events right now to help people who need the most help. For instance, we've done a project for battered women and children to provide them with some money and some resources that they need to be able to address their needs. We've done a hopeless, excuse my language, a homeless veterans project we did to help homeless veterans with some of the needs they have. Uh, we did one last year where we went to a campground that we thought might be an appropriate place to start a community where we can bring people who need guidance and assistance to be able to learn what we know about how to live a hope life. And the recent one is the suicide prevention, Spark. This has been one of the most challenging and the most successful projects that we've done to date. We put together a group of people, including myself, who had experienced suicide, and we put together a panel in North Carolina of people who had either attempted and failed at suicide, thank God they lived, or people who had been touched by suicide, like I was when my father died. And we brought these people together on this stage at this church, and we all shared our stories. And we also had a couple of people in there who were practitioners of healing. And it was one of the most amazing things I think I've ever done, was sitting on that stage with people on both sides of me who knew me from that perspective without knowing me personally. There's nothing more loving you can do than to be with people who kind of understand where you are, and being able to deliver that to an audience. And then part of that project was that we had a room full of vendors who were practitioners of integrated medicine and health. We had oxygen therapy, we had essential oils therapy, we had singing bowls. I don't know if anybody's familiar with singing bowls and harmony, but I'm real quick. I've had pain in my shoulders for a while, and I've been kind of stressed out. And this young person got up and said, "Well, I think I can help." So I brought the bowl over, and bong right there, and bong, bong, bong. Oh, and then she took a tuning fork and banged it and touched it right to my solar plexus. All my pain disappeared. It was an amazing thing. My point in that is that we have learned that in order for us to do our best work, we've got to be willing to bring in folks who can help with the traditional methods of doing things with some more integrative things that could help people who are having some mental challenges to not do suicide. And we had a concert, we had a music concert at the park or at the church, and then we had a prayer vigil at the park, Dick's Park in Raleigh, North Carolina. One of the most successful programs I have been part of sponsoring and developing since I started this whole thing several years ago. So that's the kind of work that we're doing right now. The website is livinghopeinstitute.org. That's livinghopeinstitute.org. My phone number is 540-935-0180. I don't always answer because sometimes it'll come up saying potential spam.
Right.
Leave me a message or text me. Texting me is probably the best way to get a hold of me. I also have CoachRick.Vision, which is what I'm doing specifically for young adults who we want to bring in to do mentoring to other young adults in hope and the things that Shay and Don and I are working on. Let's see. So real quick before I lose sight of this, understand that the We Care Partnerships Network is a for-profit membership organization that brings business. I've already said that. And the Hope Institute is the 501c3 charity that is connected at the hip with We Care Partnerships Network, so that the businesses that come in don't have to worry about whether they've got a nonprofit charity that can support them. All they need to know is that they've got a place where they can come in as a member and they can say, okay, I want the Hope Institute to focus on this, and we'll do what we have to do to make sure that we're doing that within the confines of hope. There are certain things we are not going to touch, which I won't get into, but
Right.
that's our work. That's the work we're doing right now.
You have a lot going on, and I knew where you were going, but I wanted to be sure that the audience stayed with you as well, because your philosophy and your passion are interwoven without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
They undergird the work that you do without a doubt. The We Care Partnership and the Hope Institute are a merger.
Mm-hmm.
And if people that are listening with ideas and passions and dreams, the inner child, are understanding the concept of the merger, even in ministry, the merger, where you bring partners together. Favor by the Father Ministries has ministry partners. We each do the ministry that we do, but we celebrate each other and we work with each other to help each other get done what God has given us to do. You're not in it by yourself. You merge together to help people and communities. You help with projects like the battered women and children. You help with projects like homeless veterans and living for hope, living for life, suicide prevention. You've got a lot of things that you've done to help people in a particular community with something in particular that they need particular help with. And you guys have this partnership where you travel to wherever you need to go to help build the communities. And I wanted that point to be driven home so that folks will not hesitate to reach out, even if it means pressing play, replay, replay, share, replay, so that they know where to go to get it. Did I summarize that pretty well? And you tell me what I need to, you give more of what I missed in the summary.
You didn't miss anything.
Woo!
Uh, you did a wonderful job of bringing it all together for people to understand. Um, and it's and it and there's another one thing that I kind of want to bring forward here.
Let me go backstage and you go for it. Open mic.
Okay, thank you. Remember, everyone, that you are supposed to prosper. You are supposed to live happily. And when you do the things that you are designed to do, you cannot help but be happy. You cannot help but absolutely love what you do. Love getting up every morning. This is how we're going to eradicate the world's ills, is by doing the things that we were meant to do, whether it be what I'm doing as a coach, or whether it be an engineer, or whether it be a carpenter. Who was a carpenter? Do we remember who a carpenter? Who one of our most famous carpenters was? It was Jesus Christ. Everything that we want to accomplish can be accomplished when we're doing it in the name of God and our essence that we were provided with in our design before we even came here. That's really what I wanted to bring, to make sure that with this business, this whole free enterprise business thing, we're all evolving into this wonderful creation. And I believe we will survive it, even though we are pushing each other's buttons right now so hard. I mean, the buttons are being pressed, and it's like, okay, everybody, it's time to wake up and realize that we're supposed to be loving one another without any expectations.
Oh,
I
wow.
just wanted to make that final point.
I love it. I love it. So basically, our viewers and our listeners need to address the challenges that keep them stuck in a box.
Yes.
Sometimes we're stuck in our own minds with our way of thinking about things, and we have to have hope and merge our concepts and abilities and resources with others and survive. That's why I have Rick Mabe on this show today, because I believe he is unboxed on purpose with a purpose. And
Amen.
if you have anything else you want to add, this is the time, Rick.
I love you. I love you. I love you. Believe it.
Amen. And I love you.
Mm.
Praise God all the way for the love that is in this place, because the Spirit of the living God is moving and has been since we connected. Um, I will go ahead and say right now, because it's in my mind and in my heart, that we had a scheduled appointment to pre-record this episode, and the way that things worked out, Rick contacted me that we would do it earlier. And so for such a time as this, we are here today, and the Spirit of God is moving. And for the projects that we are going to be working on together in the months and years to come, you just stay tuned, because you will see his face with my face again. And so
Hallelujah.
until there's another ministry partner that I have, we're going to just all get together, because we serve the same God for kingdom building. And so for this segment of Unboxed on Purpose, know that you can tap into us every Thursday for refreshing conversations, sharing experiences, and shaping our own faith as we navigate these waters that God has given us to sojourn through. Rather than worrying about this or that, we do the best we can with the resources that we currently have. We release our new episodes of Favored for the Favored by the Father Ministries Unboxed on Purpose podcast every Thursday on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, LinkedIn, and most other podcast platforms. We evolve, we evolve, we rise high to lofty levels in the Lord, coming out of dark spaces, dark boxes of confinement, because the Holy Spirit advances us to immeasurable, lofty heights in the Lord. We want you to fulfill your purpose. We want you to just go wherever God tells you to go without reservation. And we want you to remain favored by the Father. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time as we join together in God's favor. God bless you.